Hi everyone, I'm Ron Canner in Jerusalem. In fact, in the old city of Jerusalem, so much history here. And we want to cover in the next several broadcasts, we want to ask a question. Why aren't Jewish people flocking to the message of Yeshua? Why do Jewish people appear to have an aversion to the gospel? I want to tell you something. There are very real reasons, and we're going to go through them all. I really want you to watch these. Share these episodes with your friends. It's going to help you in sharing your witness, your message with the Jewish people. Let me start by telling you what it's like to grow up Jewish. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. We had a very healthy Jewish community. We had about 10,000 Jewish people, but surrounded by tens of thousands of more non-Jewish people. So I had my Jewish friends in the synagogue, but then I would go to school and I would have a lot more non-Jewish friends. And I remember the very first time, this young Jewish boy, probably 6, 7 years old, I think I was in second grade, that I learned about this guy, Jesus. I was in school and I opened up the book, a textbook, and there is this person and he's on a cross. And I'd never seen such a thing. I took the book home. I asked my mom, I said, who is this? She said, well, that's Jesus. We don't believe in him. He was Jewish. He was a prophet, a good man, but Jewish people don't believe in him. The Gentiles or the Christians, that's their Christ or Messiah. Now, I wasn't religious enough to even understand anything that she was talking about, but one thing did stick within me. I'm Jewish. Jewish people do not believe in Jesus. Honestly, when somebody mentioned the name Jesus Christ to me, I thought he was the son of Mr. and Mrs. Christ, Mary and Joseph Christ. And maybe there was a Billy Christ, a brother, and a Sarah Christ, a sister. I did not know that that was his title. Not long after that, I guess now I'm 10 years old, I'm in a car with my mom. And if you're from the US and you were alive in the 70s, you remember this campaign called I Found It. I see this car, a Toyota, a VW Bug, and it's got a big sticker on it that says, I found it, with a phone number. I'm 10 years old. I write down the phone number. I go home. I'm very curious. What did this guy find? I call up on the phone and I say, tell me, what did you find? And he told me, I found Jesus. And I said, ah! I hung up the phone because the one thing I knew about being Jewish is that we didn't believe in Jesus. Another thing that I understood about believing in Jesus, if you were Jewish and you believed in Jesus, you're no longer Jewish. You are cut off. And one of the reasons, there are very real reasons, is because we endured 1900 years of vicious anti-Semitism. A lot of people think of the worst thing that happened to the Jews as what happened in Nazi Germany, and without a doubt it was, but there was a progression. And Hitler justified what he did for two reasons. He had two justifications. Number one is that he felt, believe it or not, and he said this many times, I am only finishing what the church had started. It's not only did the Christian crusaders murder tons of Muslims, but they took the Jews of the city and they put them in the synagogue behind me. It's been rebuilt. It's called the Great Synagogue, the Synagogue. And then once the Jews, about 1,000 of them inside, terrified, didn't know what to do, they began to smell the flames. The crusaders, the Christian crusaders, burned down the synagogue as the crusaders marched around it singing, Christ, we adore thee. Take a look at this poster. It says Hitler's struggle and Luther's teaching provide the best defense for the German people. And then it has Martin Luther's birthday on there. Do you understand that Hitler thought he was doing what Martin Luther wanted him to do? And the second reason, and this goes back to Luther, and we're going to get into this later, it's a little heavy, but you got to hear this stuff. You have to know the truth. Hitler understood or felt or believed or framed the whole issue with the Jewish people is that we are at war with the Jewish people, or rather, the Jewish people are at war with us and we must stop them. It's not us, Nazi Germany's Aryan racists, trying to kill the Jewish people. It's that we're the sweet, wonderful German people, and it's the secret plan of worldwide Jewry to kill us. Take, for instance, the Poway synagogue bomber. He wanted to kill a bunch of Jewish people in a synagogue. Thank God he only succeeded in killing one, but he left behind one of the most horrible manifestos I've ever read. And one of the things he said, because he felt he was at war, or the Jewish people were at war against him and his European race. He said, I would die 1,000 times over to prevent the doomed fate that the Jews have planned for my race. And as for Martin Luther, we'll talk a little bit more about him later, but he recommended expulsion, the burning of synagogues, forbidding rabbis to teach because of this, quote, insufferable, devilish burden, the Jews. I'll see you in part 2.